You ever have one of those brilliant startup ideas, but then you just get overwhelmed by the sheer amount of work it would take to actually build it? Well, today we're diving into a really powerful new workflow that claims one person can do the job of an entire team. We're talking researcher, developer, and marketer using AI tools that are completely free. OpenAI's Sam Altman once predicted we'd see the first single-person billion-dollar company. I mean, that's a pretty wild prediction, right? But what if that future is way, way closer than any of us think? Well, it turns out that a new process, one that combines two really powerful Google tools, NotebookLM and Gemini 2.5, might just be the key to unlocking that exact potential for basically anyone with a good idea. So let's break down how it actually works. Okay, so what does this look like in practice? The whole idea is to treat AI as your co-founder. It's not just a tool, it's a partner that systematically guides you from just a raw idea all the way to a launched product. We're going to follow the creation of a sample app to see exactly how it's done. Think of it like this. You've got two specialists on your team. First, there's NotebookLM. That's your research and strategy brain. It's going to gather all the data and make sense of it. Then, you hand things off to Gemini 2.5, which acts as your super fast developer and marketing guru, bringing the whole vision to life. And for this explainer, we're going to track the creation of an app called BloodWorks, a healthcare app for centralizing and understanding blood test results. Everything, and I mean everything, starts with good research. You just can't build a great product based on a hunch. So this is where we use NotebookLM, specifically its Discover feature, to go out and gather real-world intelligence to make sure we're solving a problem people actually have. And the research isn't just a random search. It's broken down into three critical pillars. First, what are potential customers complaining about right now? What are their real pain points? Second, what are the bigger trends happening in the market? And third, what are the most successful competitors already doing right? This whole approach builds a solid data-driven foundation for the entire project. And this is where the process gets really specific. We're not just vaguely searching online. For pain points, we're telling NotebookLM to go search Reddit and Quora for direct user complaints about managing blood work. For trends, it's hunting down recent reports from major consulting firms. And for competitors, it's literally pulling the homepages of market leaders like MyFitnessPal. All of this creates this rich, organized research hub right inside the tool. Okay, so you've collected all this raw data. Now comes the most important step of all, turning it into a single, powerful set of instructions for the AI. This isn't just a summary. It is the actual blueprint for building the entire product. So, inside NotebookLM, the process is really systematic. First, you ask it to summarize all those user complaints it found. Then, you have it cross-reference those problems with the industry trends. From that analysis, it helps you nail down the absolute essential features for a first version of the app. And then, finally, it pulls off the masterstroke. It generates something called a meta prompt. And this right here, this is the secret sauce of the entire workflow. A meta prompt is when you use one AI to write a better, more detailed instruction for another AI. So instead of you trying to guess the perfect prompt to build your app, you have the AI that just analyzed all your research write it for you. It's a total game changer for the quality of the final output. And boom, this is what you get. A prompt generated by NotebookLM that has all the critical context baked right in. The user pain points, the key features, the target audience. It is the complete project brief, perfectly written, ready to be handed off to your developer, which in this case is another AI. All right, strategy's done. Now we get to move into execution. We take that master prompt, we feed it into Gemini 2.5, and we basically just watch the idea turn into a real, tangible product in minutes. And that's the real beauty of it. All that careful research, all that synthesis, it all boils down to one single comprehensive input. This is what kicks off the entire build, and it makes sure that the final product is perfectly aligned with the strategy we built from real-world data. And just look at the result. The prompt asks for a way to centralize data, get AI insights, and easily share results. What did Gemini deliver? A functional JavaScript app, a data visualization dashboard, and even a user login system. It's a direct one-to-one translation from a research-backed request to a working piece of software. But it doesn't just stop with the app. You can use the exact same meta prompt tech for all your marketing. You just feed NotebookLM the competitor homepages you found earlier, and it generates another master prompt, this time for Gemini to build a compelling landing page. It can even create marketing content like infographics that match your brand. It's wild.
Of course, having the code is great, but it's useless if it's not online. So the final step is using services like Google's Firebase or Replit. These are platforms that make it incredibly easy to take the code generated by Gemini and deploy it to the live internet. And just like that, you've completed the journey from a simple idea to a globally accessible product. So let's just zoom out for a second. What does this all really mean? Well, this workflow represents a pretty fundamental shift in how ideas are brought to life. I think the most staggering part is the speed. A process that used to take teams of people weeks, maybe even months, research, design, coding, marketing, launch, can now be compressed into less than 24 hours by a single person. That's just insane. So, to recap the big takeaways here, AI can now genuinely act as your multi-talented co-founder. But, and this is key, it's not magic. It all relies on a solid foundation of structured research. That meta prompt technique is an absolute force multiplier for your ideas. And maybe most importantly, that huge wall that used to stand between a great idea and a real product, it's basically crumbling before our eyes. And that leaves us with a really fascinating question. When the friction to create something is this low and the power in the hands of one person is this high, what's the next wave of innovation going to look like? What kinds of ideas, once considered too niche or just too difficult, are we about to see come to life? It's definitely something to think about.